Hey there, how you doing? This is a message for Brian, Nico, Dustin and Mike. So I'm Paul Popplewell, and I was in 15 Million Mirrors, Black Mirror. Brian, Nico, Dustin, Mike, it's Paul again. Listen, I just want to apologise. The sound quality on that video I did you was terrible. I was out hiking. I'm now in my little camper van thing. We shot 15 Million Merits a million years ago, but it was great fun. It was great to be a part of it, and it's been amazing to watch it kind of go stratospheric, and Netflix pick it up, and you know, all these Hollywood stars are directing and starring in it now. Not that the British cast were amazing, you know, absolute stellar, the creme de la creme of some of the top British artists, and me. But it was good fun. Good luck with the podcast, and keep up the good work, and don't go out there.
They've conquered the big screen. Now, get ready for the spin-off sure to send chills down your spine. It's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin in Don't Go Out There, the series.
Welcome back, everybody, to DGOT, the series. We really appreciate y'all listening. We hope y'all have been enjoying these series reviews. I know we have. It's been a lot of fun. Just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Everything about our podcast is on the website. All of our episodes and interviews, if you want to check those out. We've done some incredible interviews in the past. Go check them out there in a specific tab by themselves, so you don't have to scroll through hundreds of episodes on Apple or Spotify, etc. We also have our store if you want to grab a shirt, a mouse pad, a hat, all that good stuff. We'd love to see your pictures, you know, rep your favorite podcast. And Shan's Etsy page is also attached if you want to grab a tumbler. All of our social media links are on there as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Like us, subscribe us, follow us, all that good stuff. And the last thing I want to shout out on our website is our Patreon. We call it Blood Donors. We have the traditional monthly reoccurring kind. If you want to support us, help us pay the bills, as we say. Or if there's a movie you want us to review, that option is available as well. Just check out our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Also, if you haven't noticed, we've recently joined the Believe Network. So there's some ads on our program now. But if you want ad-free content, go check us out on Blood Donors. The ad-free episodes will be available there. We appreciate your support.
Are you guys ready for the next one?
Honestly, yeah, I really like this episode.
Well, I have a lot of scene-by-scene notes on this one. All right, so Season 6, Episode 3, Beyond the Sea. We open with Josh Hartnett's David Ross drawing a portrait of his two children. His daughter, Lily, questions why she even has to be there because it's her brother Ricky's birthday. David's wife, Jessica, enters the room and asks if they're ready to go, and they all get up. What a happy family. Be a shame if anything should happen to them. Meanwhile, after his stint selling Blue Sky, Jesse Pinkman has changed his name to Cliff Stanfield and is apparently not a wood chopper from way back. Cliff brings the chopped wood into a room where his wife Lana is not doing shit and just reading a book. He says that Henry is wondering how long it would be until dinner, to which is it Lana? I said Lana. It's Lana. Lana says that she can start on it now, and I bet he thought, it's about damn time. We cut to David, Jessica, Lily, and Ricky at the movie theater as they watch Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, telling us that this is definitely 1969. Outside of the theater, a young couple recognize him as they shake his hand, impressed by how real he is. The young girl asks if he's sleeping up there right now. David starts to explain, but Jessica interrupts by clearing her throat, and they dip out. We then cut back to Cliff with his family, and we start to realize something is off as they sit down to eat, but Cliff's place setting is empty. Arriving back at David's house as they enter, Jessica clocks a strange van across the street, but goes in nonetheless. They put the kids to bed, and David pulls Jessica close, and they dance. Meanwhile, Cliff and Lana do dishes silently, and we get it. There's definitely a drastic difference in the couples. Back at the Ross household now, it's finger bang o'clock until David gets a call on his watch, and we see the same happening at Cliff's house without the finger vagina interaction. The two sit down in a device, punch in a code, and we see their bodies go to sleep and wake up in space, where they talk about the status of an alarm on the space station. In space. After some small talk, the two return to their space beds, enter a key card, and their consciousness is then transferred back to their house in the android bodies they left there. We learn Cliff's wife is cosmopolitan, which I guess is another word for high maintenance. I don't know. As she wants to throw a party, and Cliff is like, "No, I'm good." Meanwhile, at the Ross household, some shit's about to go down as David awakens to a clatter. Then he rose to see what was the matter. He grabs a baseball bat and heads to check out the noise. He meets a crew of teenagers led by my boy Rory Culkin, and they tied David up. And can I say how disappointed I am that he didn't just dominate them with that baseball bat? That was poor.
Pathetic.
Yeah, absolutely bitch made. He went out like a bitch in that fight, and they pin him down, and Kappa cuts off his Terminator arm. The Brew crew tie David up, and he watches as they kill his family and destroy his replica. We cut to Cliff's house as we see him answer the phone and receive the news. Go ahead.
I'm thrilled to start this episode off with Josh Hartnett. You know, he's fresh on the mind from recently seeing the movie Trap, so that was nice. David Ross, he got his wife Jessica quaking over here. My goodness. I think this is why dads don't want their daughters going to the school dance and prom. Good Lord. Black Mirror introduces me to another cool concept, swapping your consciousness to another being while on Earth while being an astronaut. How do people think of this stuff? I think it's brilliant. Another amazing set piece by Black Mirror. I think the spaceship setting looks phenomenal. Rory Culkin, another familiar face. He's a nice but awkward guy in person. He was pretty cool to meet. And like you said, Brian, I'm pretty disappointed about Hartnett's performance here. I've met Rory. Yeah. This guy is pretty small. I know that he's outnumbered, but man, you put up a horrible fight and you had a baseball bat. Jesus Christ, man. The effects of the arm, to me, Dustin, I thought looked good. Maybe you're just talking about the arm itself. And I felt horrible for him as he hears get his family while he's helpless. It reminded me of like Law-Abiding Citizen, like at the beginning. I really liked it. Props to Rory. He plays a bad guy very well. He's menacing as Kappa. I wish I was more familiar with Aaron Paul's game, but he gives a great performance so far and is very believable taking this heartbreaking phone call.
Can we do Breaking Bad on this show?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I say yes.
I don't know. I've never seen it.
Nico, to address what you were saying, it's the hand itself. Like once he picked the hand up and held it up, like the actual hand itself in his hand looked digitally imposed. But anyway, I started my notes by saying, hey, it's the Butcher. Go listen to our Trap Instant Reaction at don'tgooutthere.com. And then, hey, it's Jesse Pinkman. I didn't recognize him at first without the baggy clothes, but it's nice to see he still found a career in science, bitch. This theater scene is a nightmare. Like I always say, support cinema, but please do it in a theater that I'm not in. I can't stand a packed theater. Like if I have to sit elbow to elbow with someone, I'd rather just leave. The dinner was interesting. Like he blessed the food, but the great camera work of when it panned away and showed that he didn't have a plate, that plants that curiosity. Is like, ooh, what's going on here? And then we get some hand to gland combat. Shout out to that guy, Millhouse 14108 for that gym. But so far at this point, now mind you, I took these notes in real time. It's a slow build that doesn't paint a clear picture. So I'm curious, is that how this show is? Like confuse the hell out of you and then reveal it all in the final act? I guess I'll find out. But then, we immediately cut to the fellas going to sleep and waking up in their space bodies right after I typed that. So maybe not. We're getting some better pacing here. We get some action going when Charlie Walker from Scream 4 and his inbred crew break into David's house. But how the hell did he have that bat and not hit anyone when he swung it? Like, what a loser.
Thank you.
God, that pissed me off. Shit hits the fan, though. Like, that's exciting at least. You know, we'll see how this episode goes. I was unsure at first, but it picked up a lot there towards the end.
Cliff wakes up on the station, and he quickly gets up and searches for David. He finds him crying in a room full of plants and asks to be left alone. Honestly, I can't imagine. I don't think I could go on living, to be honest, but anyway. Back at Cliff's house, Lana is reading a newspaper about the massacre. Cliff says they destroyed his replica with 4 years still left on the mission and that there's no way to make another replica. And even if they could, what does he have left here anyway? I mean, shit, that's a bar. We cut back to space as we see a montage of the two performing routine mundane tasks On Earth, Cliff reads in the paper that David's family's funeral is that day alongside an article in which Kappa claims that they were protecting the natural order. On the space station, David watches a grainy video feed of his family's funeral and continues to sit alone around the station eating something that looks like baby shit, honestly. But while we see clips of Cliff spending time with his kids back on Earth. While fishing, Cliff gets an alarm regarding an airlock in his watch. Back in space, Cliff finds David in the airlock. Truthfully, though, I get it. Cliff should have just let the man do what he wanted to be honest. Back on Earth, though, Cliff talks to Lana and tells him that it's a two-man ship, and if David were to kill himself, that they would both be dead. So there you go. I get it now. Lana suggests letting David use his link just for long enough that David can take a walk in the woods and feel the breeze on his face. Cliff worries that it'll be strange for her and Henry. She says Henry doesn't need to know. Cliff's not sure that David would even want that. She suggests that he offer. When he does, David accepts quickly. The two prep, and David makes his jump into Cliff's RoboCop body. Lana greets him and tries to make him comfortable, taking him to see the forest and reacquaint himself with nature. He starts to cry, and Lana comforts him. Back in space, David thanks him and tells him that his home is beautiful and it's time for Cliff to go. So David says he'll see him on Friday, and Cliff lies down to head back to a C-3PO body.
Boy, I'm lost with all this RoboCop and C-3PO talk. Anywho, Hartnett starts this set of scenes off with some strong emotional acting. I can only imagine how devastated he feels as a dad, a family man. As I listen to Cliff tell Lana it's impossible to make another replica and how alone he is, like I just get the feeling of I can't imagine how this guy must be feeling all alone up there. I can't lie, this is some more good review talk for me. That kind of spear fishing that Aaron Paul was doing, it looked dope. I would love to try that someday. Outside of the context of what's happened in this episode, serious question. Who would want this job? 6 years away from home and you could die alone in space? This sounds horrifying and miserable to me. I hope they're making...
you probably take the job if you want to get away from your nagging wife, so I get it.
Damn.
I get it.
Married to Maggie Hart? What's going on here?
I re-listen to that episode quite often just because I love listening to Dustin go off on Maggie for no reason.
No reason.
No reason.
Sorry. Let's not talk.
Did you watch the fucking show?
Yeah, I watched Marty cheat on her 3 times.
Harmless sex first. Anyway,
I know. I always laugh when you say it's just harmless sex. She was out to hurt. All right, it's very kind of Cliff and Lana to offer his link to David to return to Earth for a bit, just to feel normal and human again. This is a powerful moment to me. David embracing something so little as a caterpillar crawling on his hand. It's truly crazy to me how the smallest things in life can make us feel alive at times. Aaron Paul killing it yet again with more emotional acting. Cliff has a beautiful home, and I love the big red barn as well. I think that's another great set piece from Black Mirror. I think they do a great job with that. I really enjoy this set of scenes. It's very emotional and well acted from everyone involved.
Yeah, I don't have a lot here, but pretty brutal stuff with David being stuck up in space alone and then even have to watch his family's funeral on TV. I really think the first scenes in this set of scenes are really well done. The way it's shot drives home how desolate it is and how David is losing his mind. And then, I don't know how I'd feel if my old lady wanted me to let another guy use my replica. First instinct, she's wanting to cheat. That's just what I took from it. Really emotional scene when he breaks down crying with the caterpillar, or the caterpillar, as I wrote. And then, that's just really a great job acting in that scene by Aaron Paul. He killed it. Crazy change in demeanor from David when Cliff scans his link badge, like something's afoot. So this episode's definitely got me hooked more than the last episode.
On the station, David sits down, takes out a sketch pad, and starts drawing. Back on Earth, Lana is surprised when Cliff reappears. Cliff thinks it worked because David seems lighter now. He asks how it was. Lana says David cried, which surprises Cliff. When asked how she responded, she says she didn't do much because she didn't know what to say. Mm-hmm. When he gets back to the station, David shows Cliff his drawing of their house and then lobbies the idea of maybe using Cliff's Optimus Prime body again so that he could paint them something for his house. Cliff asks how long it would take, and David says it would take just a little while. He backs up. He understands that it's not fair to ask. Cliff asks for time to think it over. We cut to Cliff asking Lana, explaining that it would just be for an hour once a week, and David just can set up his stuff in the barn, to which she obviously agrees. Cliff sends David back to Earth, and Lana gives him the painting supplies he asked for, and they make small talk about some books. We then see a montage of the two switching places, going back to Earth, and as David continues painting, Lana is shown watching him work, taking some interest. It's further reiterated as David also teaches her to paint. Some more time passes, and at one point, David and Lana head to the store in an old Falcon to get some oils for the painting and hit up the bookstore as well. At the bookstore, the clerk thinks he's Cliff and asks about David's family. Bring it up saddens him, obviously, and Lana comforts him in the car. Shortly thereafter, we're shown Lana running her finger very sexually down the spine of a book, while David is back on the station drawing her like one of his French girls. As expected, the two have another encounter later, as David puts on a record and pulls Lana close for a dance. He presses her face to her neck, mirroring the open with Jessica, but after a moment she breaks away and does leave. Henry's shown watching, as David finds Lana in the kitchen, and David promises Cliff won't know. She reminds him that he's a guest, but he says she wants it. After declining once again, David does leave. In the barn, someone has streaked paint across the canvas, which, let's talk about that for a second whenever we get back, because I don't understand that part. David turns and sees Henry with paint in his hand. We cut to Lana looking for Henry, then cut back to her asking him to please leave. Back to the house now with Cliff in his own iron giant body. Lana tells him that David hit Henry, to which Cliff defends David for having the right to do so. Cliff says David wants to finish painting. He wants to let David finish the painting, and it'll be 2 more visits tops. Then he'll come up with some excuse. As Cliff wanders around the station, he goes into David's space, though, and finds drawings of his family on the walls. Then he looks through a pile of drawings and finds several of Lana, including some of her in the nude. Go ahead.
In the nude. Incredible drawing by David of Cliff's house. And I think it's very thoughtful of the family to let David oil paint. But this is Black Mirror, so I know some shit's going to go down. Alrighty, David is letting Lana paint now. I have a guess where this ends up going. Just made me rethink of The Notebook, a great film. She's not saying much in reply to Cliff's comments about the painting, and now he's sketching her image on the ship. Yikes, this looks like it's about to be a disaster. I thought it was an emotional moment with David/Cliff at the bookstore getting condolences. I couldn't imagine how he felt in that body. I keep remembering this isn't Cliff holding Lana's hands. David is falling for this lady. The dance scene is sweet until you remember this is David and not Cliff. Good job of Lana to compose herself, but damn, David is landing on thick and is acting way out of line. David continues to act like an animal, hitting another man's child. He needs his whole ass whooped. But plot twist, Cliff is siding with David and not his wife. Yikes. What the hell's going on? David, why the fuck do you have the sketches of this man's wife and family out in the open? Are you nuts? Man has Marty Hart awareness. And the man has nude sketches, too. It's some shit about to go down in this spaceship, and I can't wait. Go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah, his facial expressions and body language change after Cliff goes night-night. And now he's begging to use his link again. Like, something's up. I like how that suspicion is left to linger. He's scheming on Cliff's woman, and it's working. I swear, loyalty is a forgotten trait. But is it really cheating if it's her husband's body? That's something to ponder on. I say yes.
Oh,
but
my God.
Anyway.
Yes. Okay. Woo, good.
I'm just trying to spin it for when I get caught on the flip side of that. It's someone else in my old lady's body. I'm like, it was you. Anyway, first he teaches her how to paint, and then they go on a cute date to the bookstore. I smell divorce, and you got to fuck this guy up when he gets back up space. And then Buddy starts filling her up and kissing her in the barn. Yeah, they both got to die when we get back to Earth if I'm Cliff. Especially when I'm in space and I see all these drawings he made of my wife, this pervert. He drew her like one of his French girls. That's from Titanic. Like, I'm invested. Like, they did a really good job in this episode to get me back. I'm ready for the finale.
Okay, neither of you guys brought it up, but why did Harry mark up that painting? Because he was watching them, but he doesn't even know. Nobody told him. So as far as he knows, that's his mom and dad, and they're just, loving on each other. So,
because kids are little shits.
Why would he do that to his dad's painting? Like,
why would kids draw on the fucking living room walls?
I mean,
well, didn't they?
But
I don't know. I honestly don't
Didn't
know.
they show him like on the outside of the barn though, like over to listening to them? I think he might have
like
heard.
watching them. Oh, so you think he figured it out or whatever?
Yeah, I figured like he was listening in and heard some strange stuff, like what they were talking about.
Oh, well, maybe.
That's just what I'm guessing.
I wish they would have like made it to where when we're behind him and he's watching them, we should be able to hear the audio too, so we know that he heard it. Like it wasn't explicit.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. You remember like when he's like David as Aaron Paul or whatever is holding her like by the breast, and then she breaks away. Like he's outside of the barn when he hears all that, like when they're talking and all that.
It just made it seem like it was Josh Hartnett, like it was David there, and like he knew it. And so, but then when I watched it again, I was like, wait a minute, he never is told. So yeah, I wish they would have done something with that. Anyway, here is the finale. Fixing the painting, David's watch beeps, signaling an emergency, and returns to space. Infuriated, Cliff holds up the drawings, asking David to explain. Way nicer than I would have been. He says it's just a drawing, like a fantasy. The two become physical as David accuses Cliff of not appreciating what he has, and Cliff punches him. Back on Earth, Cliff destroys David's painting and accuses Lana, to which she swears on her life that nothing happened, despite him wanting it to. She admits that she's been lonely for a long time, to which Cliff apologizes and does hug her. Back in space, David tries to apologize, but Cliff wants none of it. He still asks to use the link. He's got some gall, man, let me just tell you, to be able to apologize to Lana in person. Cliff refuses, thank God. We are seeing some time pass and are shown David hovering over Cliff's sleeping body. At that moment, he calls Cliff back to the station for an emergency. When Cliff gets to this location, he finds no leak or damage. When he gets back to the airlock, though, we get a little scared as we, along with Cliff, think David isn't going to open that airlock door. As Cliff takes back his personal items, though, after he does open the door, he notices his tag is missing. David pulls it out of his pocket and hands it to Cliff, and your heart just drops. Cliff asks what he did and races back to his bunk and then back to Earth. Cliff wakes up to find his replica's hand covered in blood. He calls out to Lana as he walks through the house where blood is streaked on the walls. He breaks down crying when he finds blood pooled on the floor. Back at the station, Cliff offers him a seat as both men cry, and that's the end.
All right, picking it up from where I ended last set, great interaction between the two men. It's very heated and emotional. I think breaking the painting was an appropriate reaction. I would do the same as Cliff.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron Paul, this man is acting his ass off, confronting Lana about the drawings of her. But damn, what a kick to the nuts for my guy Cliff. Wishing another man had touched her, and she confesses to feeling lonely. He did, reconcile pretty quick, but damn, that had to hurt. David, he has a lot of nerve to ask to visit her one more time to ask for forgiveness. How about no, Dr. Evil Voice? I'm proud of Cliff for telling him off and being a man. Insert be a man meme. Cliff, he just got played, of course, because he has zero awareness now. I bet he's got to have his heart into his stomach when David's not answering to his calls and not finding any mechanical issues out there in space. He's an airhead. You think David was in the bathroom and the system is just messing up? Give me a break, man. But what a nightmare for Cliff. Oh, my goodness. Bloody hands. His wife isn't responding, and yep, he finds her dead in a pool of blood. And I end this asking, if you're Cliff, how do you not murder this guy right now? His family did not deserve that at all, but thought it was a damn fine episode. Hell of an ending.
Yeah, explain it. If I'm Cliff, he'd have to explain through a broken jaw. Like, I typed that as he punched him. So, hell yeah, Pinkman. Some really good acting from Paul and Mara and Kate Mara in the barn there. Really good stuff. And then David is bold as fuck, asking Cliff to go back to apologize to Lana in person. See, we all said it. Also, bold as fuck is of Cliff to be so aggressive with his denial of the request. David is much bigger than Cliff, so who's to stop him from killing Cliff in space and then taking his place? Right. And then, or just lock him out of the shuffle, or out of the shuttle. Good swerve to make us think that's what was happening. Like, I thought, oh, God, he's going to kill this guy and just go take over his life. But what he did was much worse. Like, it was also kind of predictable. I had a feeling he would steal his link and go down, but God, it was much worse what he actually did when he was down there. I joked at the beginning of the episode by calling Hartnett's character the Butcher, but yeah, he really was. If you're Cliff, though, how do you explain to the cops or whatever authority is over this, like what really happened? Like, I can't imagine that they had approval for David to be using his replica in the first place. So I'm not sure they believe it. Like, it's going to look like he really did it. He killed his own family. So, yeah, it's a much more thought-provoking episode to me.
It's crazy. You guys have any trivia for this one?
I do not.
Okay. By appearing in this episode, Aaron Paul is one of the few people to ever appear in 2 episodes of Black Mirror. He also plays the voice of Gamer 691 on the USS Callister, which is on my list this season to do. And when the hippie cult kills David's family, they paint the white bear symbol in a column. Like last episode I mentioned, we are covering the white bear episode and appears throughout the series.
Nice.
All right, Nico, go ahead. What'd you think about this? What'd you rate this bad boy?
I really like this episode. This is one that I would definitely go watch again. Like, I really enjoyed it. I mean, there's a couple of others that on your list that we're going to do that I've watched. Museum one, Black Museum. That's a great episode too. I really like this one. I'll definitely be revisiting it. I thought, like I said, I was going to swap the scores. I gave it a 9. This could be a full movie and I would love it.
All right. So this is a much better story in this episode, much better tension throughout. Still not my favorite show. I think that with another 10, 15 minutes, you could expand some scenes and make it hit like so much more for me. But I enjoyed it. I gave it a 7 3/4, 7.75.
Okay. Well, like I kind of said in my opening, this one didn't really hit for me as much. I wasn't satisfied enough with the ending. The build-up was pretty straightforward. He just kicks the chair out and cry together. No, I wanted some bloodshed. God, be damned if you need more than one person around that space station. We both die in here tonight. I needed some sort of resolution like that, but I didn't get that. Like I said, the buildup was pretty straightforward. I mean, you kind of saw it was coming in a sense as far as the attraction. Props to Lana for not being Maggie Hart. Just want to throw that out there. And I gave this one a 6.75.
Okay. So that gives us a composite score of 7.83333333. And yeah, you said IMDb 7.4.
The what?
IMDb is 7.4.
The what?
So we're little.
Internet Movie Database, sir.
Hey, get it together. Get your head in the game.
IMDb. I said what I said. I didn't stutter.
Internet Movie Database is what we say around here, partner.
I ain't Mike. I didn't stutter.
Oh, geez.
Respectfully. With all due love and respect.
All right, well, next week we are going to be doing Season 4, Episode 6, Black Museum, like you brought up. And, well, this one fucks you. I have a feeling this one's going to fuck with Dustin, too. Season 1, Episode 3, The Entire History of You. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on that one.
Good. Hey, and Brian, before we go, I want to say, so you wanted more of a resolution in the ending. You want more of a conclusion, some closure. I think I appreciated that much more because it just left it up to wonder. Did he sit down and they just cried about it? Did he kill him? Did they just wait till they get back to Earth and try to explain it to the authorities and have him arrested? Did the butcher try to sweet talk his way out of it and justify what he did? Like, I don't know. There's a million different ways. So I kind of like that it was that cliffhanger, but I definitely understand wanting some closure.
Yeah, and sometimes I'm fine with that kind of ending. Just this one, I wanted a little bit more, I guess.
And that's fair.
Very fair. I just thought the acting between the two guys was so good. I really liked it. They had good chemistry, honestly.
Yeah.
Y'all got any final thoughts before we just close this episode out?
Nope, sir.
All right, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Shout out to all of our blood donors, DGOT the series. This is a lot of fun. We appreciate y'all listening. Y'all have a good one.